Have you ever thought that maybe one day you want to write a book? Maybe you've written a bucket list and it's written down, write book, become author. But is that a good idea? And should you do it right now? In this video, I'll help you choose. I'll share 9 reasons to help you decide whether you should write a book right now to grow your business and build your career. While my focus here is on writing business books, a lot of the same principles will apply regardless of why you're writing a book or what type of book you're writing. Plus, I'll share the best reason to write a book. You must stick around to the end for that one. It could make the difference between success or failure in writing your book. In an earlier video, I talked about thought leadership. Well, lots of videos. And I talked about the 3 things every thought leader needs to build to have a thriving business. And that's one good reason to write a book, to be seen as a thought leader. The 3 things every thought leader or business expert or professional service firm needs to build is 3 types of capital. And capital is any resource that generates wealth. And this is a great lens through which to look to consider whether you should write a book or not. A thought leader needs to build a business to be able to sustain their practice. And to do this, you need to be able to earn money, financial capital. Which raises the obvious question, how can writing a book earn you money? The obvious way is to sell the book. While most potential authors think about selling their book as the way to make money, it's not the only way, and it may not even be the best way. For me, even though I've published 10 books, I've probably sold less than 1,000 copies of all of my books put together. And this book, The Cuckoo, is my best-selling book of all. And it's a children's story, so it probably hasn't done a lot to grow my business. On the surface, that looks like a massive failure. I've spent all that time and effort writing books, and I've hardly sold any of them. But instead of selling my books directly, I use them as my business card. My view is, instead of selling the books, it's better to give them away so I can build a bigger audience, reach more people, and make more money from the products and especially the services I sell out the other end. The key to making money from your books is to appreciate that there are so many different ways that you can do this. You can sell them directly, use them to sell something else, or a mix of both. How you make money from your books depends on your business model. The big question here is, how will you use your books to earn money? The second thing a thought leader needs to build is an audience. This is social or people capital. And social capital is the benefit you gain from the people you know. For instance, writing a book is a great way to boost your reputation. When you write a book, it demonstrates your expertise on a particular topic. Plus, it shows people that you have the ability to stick at a project for a reasonable length of time. Most books will take 6 or 12 months to complete. And then by selling or giving away your book, you start to attract a like-minded audience. Best of all, some of those people who buy your book will read it and become raving fans. And here's a crucial point. When I write my books, I don't expect my audience to read them, which sounds like a futile exercise, doesn't it? I don't sell my books to make money, and even when I give them away, people don't read them anyway. What's the point of that? But it's not quite what it seems. When I wrote my first book, A Home Office You Love, I was absolutely staggered by the number of people who were impressed that I'd written a book, particularly because they hadn't seen the book. They didn't know whether it was any good or whether it was a load of rubbish. This is the halo effect for authors. You gain credibility simply by saying you've written a book. Sure, it's much better if people actually read it, but it's not essential. Your book can build social capital for you by boosting your reputation, attracting an audience, and giving you credibility in the marketplace. The big question here is, how will you use your book to build social capital? And this brings us to our third thing that every thought leader needs to build, and our third big reason for why you should write a book. and that's to build ideas or intellectual capital. Ideas or intellectual capital is the value you create from the knowledge, the wisdom, and the content you create. And this leads us to perhaps the purest reason to write a book. You write a book because you want to write a book. And this comes down to it being part of your self-expression and your personal identity. Ultimately, this is tied to the buzz or the joy or the thrill you get from learning, creating, and growing. And it's a crucial and essential part of staying relevant in an ever-changing world. If you're not keeping up and creating new content, then you're probably being left behind. Writing your book is a perfect chance to stop, reflect, and refine your thinking. I think it's a really valid alternative to doing an MBA mid-career. Instead of doing that, write your book to define your business philosophy and how you win in your area of expertise. Hopefully, you can hear that inside of that as a project, that would be a strong enough reason for doing it, even if you didn't sell it and make money from it or build an audience from it. Refining your thinking is going to grow your skill, your capability, and the potential value you can add to your clients. The big question here is, how will you use your book to grow your ideas and your intellectual capital? Ultimately, the big thing you need to decide as to whether to write a book or not is your return on investment. And this is the balance of what it takes to create the book and what you'll get in return. The obvious investment here is your time and your effort. It will take you months or even a year to write a book. The less obvious investment here is the opportunity cost. While you're writing your book, what other projects and things in your life are you saying no to? And I think an important point here is that this needs to include factors like your family time. If you're going to be squirreling away in your office writing your book, is that at the expense of when you could be playing football with your daughter? When assessing the return on investment, the big mistake too many authors make is that they focus only on one of the three types of capital. For instance, I've made this mistake myself. I've written books where I've been extremely happy just to explore the topic and document my thoughts around that. I'm proud of the book, but then I stopped. I didn't use it to build my social capital, and I didn't use it to build my financial capital. And as a result, the books did very little to grow my business or my reputation. The bottom line is, you will get better results if you consider all three types of capital in your book writing strategy. For example, you could write a book to develop a whole bunch of new ideas so you could share that in your upcoming fancy new keynote presentation. Then by having your book, you can send it to conference organizers and speaking agencies to show them that you're an expert on those topics. Then they might pay you to deliver a presentation at their next event or for one of their corporate clients. On top of that, you may be able to sell your book at the conference or give it away to all of the participants. On top of that, inside your great new book, you can have a juicy offer detailing your membership community that people could then come to and pay you more money. This is one of the great things about writing a book. You can earn money in multiple ways. Hopefully, by now you're starting to consider what is your best reason for writing a book. One part of this is to answer the all-important question, is right now the best time to write a book? There's an old Chinese proverb that suggests the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is now. But you do have to check in with what's happening right now in your life, your business, and your career. For one person, having a baby might be the perfect time to write a book. For another person, that might be the worst possible time. Also, if you've been thinking about writing a book for a long time and you keep putting it off, then you really need to ask yourself this question. What are you waiting for? Also, I think you need to look at both sides of the equation. Should I write the book? Should I not write the book? There are a lot of successful people, including thought leaders, who have not written a book. And you might want to answer the contrary question. What are the reasons for not writing a book? And now for my final thought and the single best reasons for you to write a book. It comes from disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong. While you might not like him personally, there's an important piece of wisdom to consider here. You might know Lance Armstrong's story. Emerging cyclist, diagnosed with terminal cancer, almost dies, recovers to ride his bike, wins the Tour de France 7 times, more than anyone in the history of the race, and then is stripped of all 7 titles because he's found out to be a drug cheat. Lance Armstrong owes me a lot of sleep. I stayed up a lot of nights over here in Australia watching him race. But before Lance tackled the Tour de France and during his recovery period, he was asked one question more than any other. Will you get back on the bike? As the title of his first book that he co-wrote with Sally Jenkins, Armstrong replied, "It's not about the bike." And I'll leave you with that final thought. What's the best reason for you to write a book? It's not about the book. When you can reveal what it's truly about for you, then you'll have your single best reason to write a book or not. In the next video, I'll share why I write books. And as I suggested, it's not about the book. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.